Everything you have been told about energy, endurance, and what your body needs to perform at its absolute peak is wrong. Not partially wrong. Fundamentally, structurally, deliberately wrong. The diet powering your mornings right now, the granola, the toast, the fortified oat drink, is the same category of diet that medieval armies ate right before they got completely dismantled by men who hadn't cooked a proper meal in 3 days. In the winter of 1241, a Mongol cavalry force crossed the snow-blocked Carpathian Mountains, rode through Poland and Hungary at the same time, and destroyed 2 separate European armies in the same week, 500 kilometers apart, while carrying their entire food supply in a sheep's stomach. No wagons, no bread ovens, no supply line, no nutritionist, just dried meat powder, fermented horse milk, and the most ruthlessly effective nutritional system ever assembled by a military force in the history of the world. That system built the largest contiguous land empire humanity has ever produced, and it has been sitting in plain sight for 800 years while we ate our cereal and wondered why we were tired. Picture him, a Mongol warrior, winter of 1241. He has been riding since before the sun came up somewhere north of the Carpathians, breathing air so cold it turns solid in his beard the moment it leaves his mouth. His boots are compressed felt, thick enough to resist frostbite for hours in the saddle. His coat is sheepskin, wool turned inward against the body, impervious to wind. He carries a composite bow assembled from horn, sinew, and wood that he can fire from a full gallop with enough force to punch through iron plate at 100 yards, a curved saber, a lance, and 2 simple leather saddlebags that hold everything a human being needs to sustain peak physical and cognitive performance for weeks without resupply. He does not stop to cook. He does not scout the horizon for a town where he can buy provisions. He reaches into the bag, pulls out something that looks like a piece of dark driftwood, weightless, hard as bone, smelling faintly of cold and iron, breaks a chunk the size of his thumb, drops it into a leather flask of water he heated earlier in his own helmet over a fire no bigger than your fist, and drinks it. 30 seconds. The flask goes back. He rides on. What he just consumed is called borts. It is Mongolian wind-dried meat, compressed into a powder so calorie-dense, so nutritionally concentrated, that the flesh of an entire cow can be reduced and packed into that same cow's own stomach. A single handful delivers somewhere between 300 and 400 calories of near-pure protein and fat. It has been preserved without salt, without smoke, without a single degree of refrigeration, and it will not spoil for up to 3 years, stored in nothing more than a cloth bag. There is no label on it, no ingredient list, no factory that produced it, and the man who just drank it is about to cover 60 miles of frozen European terrain by nightfall. Engage in combat, sleep for a few hours, and do the exact same thing again at dawn. So here's the question this entire video is built to answer. How did a population of nomadic herders from the high steppes of Central Asia, people eating a diet that modern nutrition guidance would classify as reckless at best and fatal at worst, assemble and sustain the most operationally dominant military force in human history? What did they understand about food, about the human body, and about physical endurance that we have spent 8 centuries actively dismissing, burying, and replacing with inferior alternatives? Because the answer is not primitive, it is engineering. Before we go any further, tell me in the comments, have you ever actually tried a serious dietary overhaul? Keto, carnivore, paleo, extended fasting. Did it move the needle for you, or did you give up because the information contradicted itself every 3 weeks, the food cost too much, or you simply felt like you were doing something medically irresponsible? I want to know, because what you are about to learn will reframe every single piece of nutritional advice you have ever received. And I want to know where you are starting from. Walk into any pharmacy, gym supplement section, or health food store this afternoon. Pick something off the shelf. Anything marketed at you for energy, performance, or endurance, read the label. You will find maltodextrin, soybean oil, soy protein isolate, natural flavors, which is a phrase that legally means almost nothing. you will find a protein bar with 17 listed ingredients that still requires a separate pre-workout, recovery shake, and daily multivitamin, because by itself, it is metabolically incomplete. You will find packaging that weighs nearly as much as the food inside it. And then consider the United States Army's current field ration, the MRE, meal ready to eat. Each one delivers approximately 1,250 calories in about 1.5 pounds of packaged food, with over half those calories coming from carbohydrates. 3 per day give a soldier somewhere between 3,600 and 3,900 calories on paper. Yet researchers at the U.S. Army Research Institute of Environmental Medicine documented that soldiers consuming MREs in actual field conditions typically only ate around 2,200 calories against daily expenditures exceeding 4,000, losing 3% of body weight and roughly 10% of body fat in under 2 weeks. The most powerful military on Earth cannot adequately fuel its soldiers through a 12-day operation. A Mongol warrior sustained a 2-year transcontinental campaign without a single logistics depot. Here is where the comparison becomes almost uncomfortable. Borts runs at approximately 4 to 5 calories per gram. The standard MRE runs at roughly 2. Borts is twice as energy-dense by weight. It requires no packaging, no refrigeration, no supply chain, no factory, and a production cost of 0 beyond the labor of slicing and hanging. The billion-dollar military nutrition industry has been trying to close this gap for decades, and as of today, it still has not. Here is what should make you genuinely angry. The nutritional logic of the Mongol warrior was never a secret. It was documented in extraordinary detail by European eyewitnesses who were standing right there watching it happen. Friar Giovanni di Plano Carpini traveled to the Mongol court in 1247 and wrote down exactly what these men ate. William of Rubruck, sent by the French King Louis IX in 1255, described their food preparation in technical detail. Marco Polo documented the dried milk paste and the blood drinking in the 1290s. The information was publicly available in the archives of Western civilization for 800 years. It was not lost. It was classified as barbarism, dismissed as the desperate survival behavior of people too uncivilized to bake proper bread. The institutions that built modern nutritional science were constructed inside agricultural economies, funded by agricultural interests, and staffed by researchers whose entire intellectual framework assumed that grain was the foundation of civilized human nutrition. They were never going to look at a nomad eating powdered horse meat and fermented mare's milk and conclude that he had solved a problem they hadn't. So they didn't. And you have been eating the consequences ever since. You are not broken. You were handed instructions designed for a different system entirely. Let's go through what the Mongol soldier actually ate, layer by layer, because each element of this diet is doing something specific, and the modern world has no equivalent. The first pillar is borts. Lean beef, mutton, horse, or camel is sliced into strips roughly 2 centimeters thick, hung in the shade under the roof of the jier, the round felt dwelling, where dry winter wind and sub-zero temperatures perform the preservation. No salt, no smoke, just cold, moving air. After approximately 1 month, the strips are brittle, hollow-sounding when tapped, and biologically inert. Bacterial growth has been halted so completely that the meat is shelf-stable for 1 to 3 years. The strips are then pounded or ground into a coarse, dark powder. The reduction ratio is staggering. Roughly 5 kilograms of fresh meat yield around 1 kilogram of borts, with about 80% of the mass departing as water vapor. Mongolian tradition encodes this ratio in a single phrase: the meat of an entire cow fits into that cow's own stomach. Modern nutritional analysis places borts at approximately 386 calories per 100 grams, with 60 to 80% protein by mass and almost no carbohydrate. Here is the mechanism worth understanding. When moisture leaves meat slowly at low temperature rather than being driven out by heat, the proteins and lipids remain structurally intact. You are not denaturing the fats through oxidation the way commercial jerky processing does. You are not destroying the fat-soluble vitamins. You are creating something closer in nutritional profile to raw meat than to any processed product, something that rehydrates in hot water back to roughly 2.5 times its dried weight, releasing a broth dense with complete protein, iron, zinc, and B12. No lab engineered this. It was figured out empirically over centuries on the steppe, and it works better by almost every measurable metric than anything in a modern ration pouch. The second pillar is areg, fermented mare's milk, called kumas across the broader Central Asian world. And this is the element of the Mongol diet that modern nutritional science has only recently begun to understand. Mares are milked 5 or 6 times daily during the summer lactation season, each draw brief so the foal receives its share. The milk is poured into a kokor, a 40 to 100 liter cowhide bag hung at the entrance of the gyre. A residue of previous arag is left inside as a starter culture. The milk is then churned with a long wooden paddle in a process that Mongolian tradition prescribes at over 500 strokes per fermentation cycle, with practical accounts describing 2,000 to 4,000 strokes spread across 1 to 2 days of ambient summer fermentation. This is not ritual. This is precision microbiology. The churning maintains even temperature, introduces controlled oxygenation, prevents cultural stratification, and ensures the 2 distinct fermentation pathways run in parallel. Lactic acid bacteria, including Lactobacillus helveticus and Lactobacillus plantarum, convert lactose to lactic acid, producing the drink's characteristic tang and preserving it against pathogenic contamination. Simultaneously, lactose-fermenting yeasts, like Cleveromyces marxianus, convert residual sugars to ethanol and carbon dioxide, resulting in a beverage that is lightly carbonated, mildly alcoholic at 1 to 3%, and alive with approximately 1 billion colony-forming units of active bacteria per milliliter. And here is what nobody told you. Peer-reviewed analysis of kumas, published in Research, indexed by the National Institutes of Health, documents approximately 95 to 100 milligrams of vitamin C per liter. That is a full adult recommended daily allowance per liter consumed, delivered in a fermented beverage produced from an animal walking alongside the warrior. No citrus, no supplement, no scurvy. The same lactic acid bacteria synthesize B vitamins in the liquid itself, and the probiotic density almost certainly explains the Mongol army's documented resistance to the dysentery that routinely collapsed grain-dependent armies on extended campaigns. William of Rubruck, who was handed a bowl of it and found it profoundly disorienting, wrote that it makes the inner man most joyful and greatly provokes urine. He was describing a probiotic functional beverage 800 years before the term existed. If this is changing how you see things, hit the like button, because we dig deeper into exactly this kind of buried knowledge every single week. The third pillar is the horse, not as transportation, as a food system. Each warrior campaigned with 3 to 5 remounts. John Messon Smith Jr., whose logistical analysis of Mongol armies remains the definitive academic treatment of the subject, calculates that 2 mares producing milk above their foal's requirements could sustain a man on roughly 9 pints of fermented milk per day. The horses walked beside the army, grazed on steppe grass, and produced food continuously. In genuine emergencies, when Bortz was exhausted and the land yielded nothing, a warrior would nick a small vein in a remount's neck, draw perhaps half a pint of blood, seal the wound with direct pressure, and continue. Whole blood is 17 to 18% protein and approximately 50 milligrams of iron per 100 milliliters. Heme iron with extraordinarily high bioavailability. Carpani documented the practice in 1247. Rubruck confirmed it in 1255. Marco Polo described it in the 1290s. 3 independent eyewitnesses separated by decades. The practice was not legend. It was logistics, and the Mongolian pony itself was the silent weapon at the foundation of all of it. 12 to 14 hands, 5 to 600 pounds, thick-coated, shaggy. built for cold and distance rather than speed or grace. Marco Polo stated it plainly. Their horses will subsist entirely on the grass of the plains, so that there is no need to carry store of barley or straw or oats. European war horses, bred large, trained on grain, required daily grain rations that had to be hauled in wagons extending thousands of feet behind every army. The Mongol army carried no fodder. Its operational range was bounded only by the presence of grass. The Eurasian steppe contains more continuous grassland than almost any other environment on Earth. The army and its food source were one and the same. Place this system against the speed record it produced, and you begin to understand what was really happening. On April 9th, 1241, Mongol forces under Baidar and Khadan destroyed a combined Polish and German army at Legnica in present-day Poland. 2 days later, on April 11th, Subutai's main force annihilated King Bela IV's Hungarian army at the Battle of Mohi on the Sajo River. Those two battlefields are approximately 500 kilometers apart. Two decisive victories, 2 days, 500 kilometers of winter terrain. No European commander of the era could have coordinated a single army across that distance in 2 weeks. This was possible because the warriors eating borts and drinking airag moved at 50 to 60 miles a day routinely, and up to 100 in emergency forced marches, 3 to 5 times faster than European infantry armies, and operating entirely without a supply train. So, why did this disappear from practice and from memory? 3 reasons that compound each other in the most predictable way imaginable. Speed. Borts takes a month to make. Airag requires a full summer dairy season. Arul curd, the hard-dried cheese carried as a third staple, requires weeks of drying in specific conditions. Industrial food supply needs to produce volume by the millions on a weekly cycle. You cannot industrialize a fermentation that requires 2,000 hand strokes per day and a live herd of mares. Cost. Borts requires no money but enormous time, cold air, and fat winter livestock. Commercial jerky production is faster and cheaper per unit at scale when you have electricity, refrigeration, and salt. The freeze-drying logic of borts was simply abandoned the moment industrial preservation became available. Even though salt-cured, heat-processed jerky is nutritionally inferior in almost every way that matters. And then there is the third reason, the one that goes unspoken. The people who built this system were classified by the civilizations they defeated as barbarians. When you dismiss a culture as primitive, you dismiss its knowledge along with it. The nutritional system of the Mongol warrior was never evaluated on its merits by the institutions that built modern dietary science. It was inherited alongside a judgment that had already been made by people who lost at Legnica and Mohi and never reconsidered their assumptions. You have been eating the diet of the defeated and calling it progress. Here is what you can actually do starting this week. At the simplest level, find a quality full-fat plain kefir in your grocery store. Not the sweetened commercial version, the plain kind, with 2 ingredients, milk and bacterial cultures. That is the closest widely available equivalent to airag. Drink it daily. The probiotic density, the B vitamin synthesis, the gut resilience mechanism, all of it is present and documented. It costs almost nothing and has been sitting beside the flavored yogurt this entire time. At the intermediate level, make a version of borts at home. Buy lean grass-fed beef or lamb. Slice it no thicker than 2 centimeters. Hang it in a cold, dry, well-ventilated space. A cold garage in winter is almost perfect. Do not add salt. Do not smoke it. Leave it for 3 to 4 weeks. When it snaps cleanly and sounds hollow when you knock it, grind or pound it to a rough powder. Store it in a clean cloth or linen bag, 2 tablespoons dissolved in hot water. Each morning delivers concentrated protein, iron, and fat-soluble vitamins in less time than it takes to make coffee. No packaging, no ingredient list, no expiration date beyond the next 2 years. At the foundational level, reduce your carbohydrate intake below 20% of total calories for 2 weeks, not forever. 2 weeks to understand what metabolic adaptation actually feels like in your own body, without a supplement stack, without a program to buy. Without a coach, your grocery store already has beef, lamb, eggs, butter, and organ meat. That is the complete input. The Mongol warrior had no more than this, and he crossed a continent on it. The Mongol soldier was not scraping by. He was not enduring privation and making the best of a desperate situation. He was operating a complete, elegant, and ruthlessly optimized nutritional system. One that solved in the 12th century the exact logistical problems that the billion-dollar modern military nutrition industry is still failing to solve today, and that delivered physical performance, operational range, and physiological resilience that no grain-fed army on Earth could match. The knowledge was never lost. It was abandoned, buried under 8 centuries of agricultural ideology, industrial food economics, and the reflexive contempt of settled civilizations for the people they feared and never fully understood. Subscribe to this channel because we exist to excavate exactly this kind of knowledge. The systems that worked, the methods that were set aside not because something better replaced them, but because something more profitable did. Tell us in the comments, what ancient tradition, forgotten food, or dismissed practice do you want us to investigate next? We are just getting started.